up, guys? Welcome back to the Indy Sooner. It's your boy JP. I'm sitting here with the homie Trav. Trav, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling a little exhausted, but that's because just so much emotion in that bowl game with Bob and BV on the sideline. It was a very emotional experience. So absolutely, I'm feeling great. I'm glad to have a couple guests in here. Not that I'm getting tired of you by any means. I just like to have some fresh faces to look at. You know what I mean? What's up, guys?
It's good to have different people, especially people as respected as the fellas underneath us here. We got Kchris with a K, and Seth. Is it Oliveras? Is that how you say it?
Oliveras.
Okay, I want to make sure I said it right. And they do a podcast of their own. It's called the Horns Down Podcast. So make sure you guys go follow them on Twitter, and also just listen to their content. They do a great job. They do sometimes what a lot of OU fans don't want to do. They talk to Texas fans at times. They deal with those crazy ones that we don't always want to deal with. So they're doing the Lord's work out there. But we wanted to have them join the show today. Is kind of a huge collaborative effort as we look to end this 2021 season and head into the off season. And so, guys, welcome to the show.
Hey, yeah, thanks for definitely inviting us on. I've watched this show a few times for sure. I see it come across my timeline, people retweeting either the clip of it or the links and stuff. And so, yeah, I love talking football, in general. I know everyone here does as well. But as we all know, we're all Sooner fans, and it's a pretty good time to be a Sooner fan, contrary to outsiders' belief.
Yeah. Rich, how you doing, man?
Oh man, hey, it's a great time, man. Appreciate you guys for letting us come on the show. Thank you guys for helping keep everybody sane during the whole Tebow episode, the whole situation with that. But yeah, man, hey, last night was just the beginning, right? It's the beginning of the next chapter in this whole thing that we call OU football, right? So yeah.
Yes, sir. All right, so hey, let's go ahead and start off the show with a little Alamo Bowl recap. As you guys know, Oklahoma defeated University of Oregon, excuse me, I can't talk, 47-32 last night. As Seth and I were chatting a little bit before the show, it was kind of funny. And Trav, you can give a different perspective because you were at the game, but OU fans on Twitter, they got back into that middle of 2021 season mode where they were like, oh my gosh, like especially in the second half, the defense, like I'm getting nervous. I'm sitting there like, first of all, it's a bowl game where like there's two interim coaches, so who really cares what happens, right? Yeah. Like I see some young talent, have fun because we haven't seen a football game in a while. And then secondly, if you actually pay attention to the game, they haven't stopped us at all on offense, like at all, like touchdown, field goal, like. So I understand we're giving up bombs. DJ Graham is getting burnt like a piece of bad toast. Like I know, but they weren't going to stop us. The game was never in doubt in my eyes, and we ended up winning by 15. So, but it felt like I was back in the middle of 2021. It felt like it was home, kind of in a weird way, just to see people freaking out. But Trav, I wanted to know what your experience was in the Alamo Dome.
Man, it was awesome. It was one of those where it felt like about 90-10 Oklahoma fans. So obviously it got real loud whole first half. I mean, when Stoops came out, it was kind of cool. You hear the Stoops chants, and people don't know whether it's for Bob or whether it's for Drake, but they just know they're happy about it, so they're just going to do it anyways. And it was just, man, it was a lot of fun. It was exercising a lot of demons throughout the season. I mean, seeing big plays get hit, seeing Eric Gray push the pile, things like that. You're looking at it, and I'm looking at my dad who's sitting next to me. I'm like, I don't think I've seen that this year, of him just getting in and just people pushing. I mean, it was just the whole team played inspired. The defense played great. I mean, you saw it, especially in the first half. I mean, yeah, they gave up some deep stuff, but keep in mind, their defensive backs coach that I love Will Johnson. I think he's an incredible defensive backs coach. But Roy was really teaching the scheme, everything like that. Grinch was teaching the scheme. When you take away the safety and the cornerbacks coach, you're going to have some miscommunication stuff. It happens. There's a reason those coaches make a lot of money. So but yeah, all the good feelings. I do have to interrupt slightly because Pat Fields just posted his plans. I didn't even think he had to reactivate his Twitter because he hasn't been on Twitter since like August or something. I'm gonna read it real quick. It says, incredibly thankful to the University of Oklahoma and all that it has afforded me, the staff, the administration, professors, classmates, teammates, and all the members I've interacted with. I hope I've expressed my genuine appreciation in real life through our everyday interactions. Beginning January 3rd, I start my journey to complete a master's in management science and engineering at Stanford University on a full academic scholarship.
Oh,
To
wow.
those that follow me, I hope my current efforts resemble a man of God and can serve as an inspiration to others forever sooner.
Man, good for Pat.
Man, masters, jeez, dude's already got the masters and whatnot. This guy, he's like his brother. His brother's got like 10 degrees, Cal Berkeley, and I think Cornell, all this stuff. So it's a very educated family, and he's I'm excited that he's going out there to do that.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I see some big donations from him down the line when he's like CEO.
Oh yeah,
there's gonna be something part of the program is gonna be named Fields. You know, it's gonna be.
I'll tell you what, man. Yeah. Absolutely, I'm so excited for that kid, and of course for him to win Defensive Player of the Year last night. And we talked when he was in over the holiday before he went off to the bowl. Like, he talked about that even. He's like, man, I stay off social media. He's like, these people don't know me. He's like, I just go out there, I do everything I can. He's like, I play all the snaps, you know, I do my best, show up every day, go to work. He's like, I'm here, I'm going to get all my degrees, and then I'm going to bounce out. He's like, that's just how I'm going to do it. I was like, cool, man. That's what you're supposed to do as a student athlete. So many people think, hey, I'm just going to go and I'm going to study something just to stay eligible. And then you get down the road and maybe you don't get drafted, or maybe you get drafted, you know, late, or maybe you just bust out of the year or out of the NFL with an injury or something. And then you look at some of your teammates like the Caleb Kellys and the Pat Fields and the Jeremiah Halls, and they're looking at them and they're the ones with all these master's degrees and all this, and they got them for free.
Yeah.
I mean, they got them for free. So that's the crazy part. Like, you get a free master's degree if you want it, you know, and that's the thing. And that's one thing he's always preached. He's like, look, dude, I'm a student athlete. If, you know, if I don't have a career in the NFL, he's like, I'm going to set my family up for years to come with businesses and all this other stuff. So love Pat, nothing but love to Pat and all those guys, Caleb and Jeremiah and all those guys.
Big facts. That's awesome.
So sorry to get off a little tangent there,
but it's good to hear.
No, that's the rest.
No, you're good, man. It's good to hear stuff like that. Good for Pat, man.
Absolutely.
Kchris,
so what y'all think about the bowl? What's up?
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the Alamo
bowl? I'll jump in here. I'll say, so let's go to the defense. So obviously, you know, DJ Graham is the talk of the town right now. You know, and well, in a lot of places, but. What I would say, honestly, the only thing that I was disappointed in the game last night was third down zone coverage. Like cover 2, cover 3, whatever kind of zone you want to throw out there, we have not been able to run it all year. And in a game like that, especially, man, just I don't know about setting the house, but you know, we got a blitz. Let's keep the pressure on Brown. Let's get him uncomfortable in that pocket. Let's get him out of the pocket. You know, I just was scratching my head on that because, you know, you got Brendan Walker out there, and he's hands up just like this right here. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then you got the one busted coverage where Brown threw it over the top. They got the touchdown. And you're just saying, man, we haven't been able to run zone all year. I don't know why we're running zone. I know at some point it has to get better, which I feel like it will under, you know, BV. But gosh, dog, like last night was not the game for that, in my opinion. I'm like, hey, keep coming after him. Because obviously you saw when I think we were when I think their last possession, actually, when we punted and then they were like in their own like end zone or whatnot, we just kept coming after them. Third down, it did not matter. Like, we manned up, came after them, but that was the only disappointing part of it to me. The DJ Graham thing, I don't know what that was about, but you know, I even tweeted out, I was like, that's not you. Like, we all know you're better than that. So I'm not gonna give him a pass, but at the same time, like, hey, let's get to spring. Let's see. Let's have some competition there at those spots, anyways. But offensively, man, we look great. I mean, you established the narrative which we should establish all year, which was just run the dang ball. Gray looked better last night. Not pleasure, excuse me. Gray looked great last night. Brooks looked great last night. And then Marcus Majors looked like a beast out there. And he has fresh legs, obviously. And I'm just like, man, next year he may actually get his chance. He may actually get his call. He looked like the player that we heard about. We heard that he was supposed to be last year, but it never it never panned out. But no, I'm excited offensively. Obviously the whole big thing is if Caleb stays, but other than that, man, I really didn't have too many more takeaways from that game, because I mean, it's funny because the Alamo Bowl wasn't a game that kind of that tells you anything about what's going to go down next year, because it's going to be different all around, offensively, defensively, just the whole mindset. But the excitement around the game, the way they finished the game, the way they played throughout the game, I left the game happy. I went to sleep happy that night. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I agree as far as like the feeling coming out of that game. I felt happy as well. After that, the result, and yeah, I really didn't nitpick it too much. I did a recap of it and everything, but I didn't anything that I kind of took everything kind of at a macro level, as far as my look at it. So like, just it was clear that the team responded to not only the situation that the remaining guys were put in, but then they responded to Bob and the coaches that stuck around, Brian Odom, Jamar Kane and stuff like that, the guys that are leaving Coach Tibbs. So, but it was just great to see that there was like an energy there. There was a 1-2, because in these bowl games, I'd say like more than 50% of these bowl games comes down to like motivation and just just kind of want to. And it was clear that this OU team, they wanted to be there. They wanted, and it wasn't necessarily about wanting to be there, but they wanted another chance to play with each other. Play for the guy next to them, just play for themselves, just play for just everything. It was all about the team and the players. And like Bob Stoops says, OU football, the players are OU football, and so it was great to see that kind of manifest. After the last month that we've had here in Sooner Nation. So, I mean, I think, and I've kind of held this, or I've held this kind of belief, whether it's a hill that I'm dying on or whatnot, but I truly believe that Lincoln Riley, when he was when he was here this season, when Caleb was in the games, he was holding him back. I feel like the only time we ever saw him really unleashed was obviously in the Texas game when he came in and did his thing, and there was no leash on him there. And then maybe the TCU game, his first start, where like that's like the Caleb Williams that he's capable of being every game if you just kind of let him go out and get it. But it just seemed like pretty much every other time we saw him, it just seemed like there were things being coached out of him, and I put that on Lincoln, and I mean, and it looked like without him there, there's just things like decisions where it just looked like Caleb's been thinking too much during the season and stuff. In a lot of spots, looks like when there's opportunities for him to take off and run or just to make a play and just do what his instincts tell him to do. Like it was almost like he was hearing Lincoln's voice in his head saying like, no, go through your reads, progress, just buy time and stay in the pocket or whatever it was. And it's just like, sometimes that's just not, he's in the situation. So he kind of knows what's best. I mean, that he became a 5-star on his own, in high school and everything, and the best quarterback in high school without Lincoln Riley, so he obviously, he's got the talent, he's got the ability. We all know that. So it just looked like we kind of got back to that again as well. Like, I mean, obviously, Cale Gundy called a hell of a game.
Yeah, Cale was in his bag, man. He cut it loose a lot. What I really liked about it was, it's kind of to your point. it felt like when he got off schedule is really when he felt on schedule. You know what I mean? From just a playmaking standpoint, you look at the game against Kansas where he rips the ball out of Kennedy Brooks' hands. That's not a read based. That's not coaching based, right? When you look at him, making one guy miss at Texas, taking it, flipping the hand, looking up the screen, seeing how far, like stuff like that. He does things that are obviously not coached things and that are just playmaking things that he does naturally. So it's always, I think you're right. I think he's always fighting that, like, okay, am I supposed to, like, should I just throw it out and be relying on my playmaking and go with what I think? That's what I think Kale let him do a lot of the time. I love that he was able to take some shots deep with them. My mother is still upset about the helmet being ripped off and it not counting for a touchdown. She was saying it last night when we got when I got back to town. We were switching cars, whatnot. I saw her a little earlier, and she was like, "Man, you got to bring that up. That I think we got robbed of a touchdown. All this." I was like, "It's player safety. I get it. They got to have that rule." But it was so cool just watching him run. Just because, keep in mind, obviously these players and their brands, they cover their face.
Yeah.
When you cover your face, it's not good for marketing. So It's so funny. I hope so. I hope John Baker and Radman and all those guys got great pictures of him running into the end zone, just no helmet. Like I hope people got some great pictures on that.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some good shots of it, because when I was putting up the recap for Crimson and Cream last night, I was looking through for a cover photo and I saw some. So like they're probably already circulating, but yeah, I was like, you're right, yeah, like because it's so. That's one of the biggest differences that people probably don't talk about a lot between like football and, let's say, basketball.
That's why a lot of them get tattoos and have the long hair, and that's why, with this branding stuff, I mean, that's why people try and add stuff to, like, outside of Ethan Downs. They always talk about Ethan Downs ain't got no drip. He doesn't wear no armbands, wristbands. He's got some like white ankle socks, and he just goes out there and balls.
That's Weatherford, right?
That's right. That's right. So. But it is interesting because they have, I mean, you think of NBA, I mean, the guys, their faces, I mean, that's the first thing you recognize. Probably couldn't say much else about them, is that's their face. It's so easy to market them. So when it comes to football, I just thought it was so cool. You rip off and he's got the hair and he's running. I was like, oh, that was perfect. Another guy that was running on that was, right?
Yeah, probably. When he took off, I was like, I can see his grill. Isn't that his? Hey, nah. Right. Hey, I was gonna say something that had me just screaming last night was the GT counter was there last night. It actually worked. I was like, what? This is working tonight. What? Touchdown at the top. I was like, it's funny because you were so well balanced last night, because going back to your point, Seth, about Cale Gundy, I mean, just easy reads all over the field. Caleb knew exactly where he wanted to go with the ball. He knew option one, option two. He could stand. He could do things. He looked like he was on. One of the most important things, I think, regardless of whatever happens with Caleb, I'm still going to root for the kid. But one of the things I want to see in his maturation process is just being able to, one, step up in the pocket, be able to have a better pocket presence next year, and then obviously be able to check down, check it down, pick up those yards, those 3 or 4 yards to keep the sticks moving. That way you're not in 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9. You're in more of like a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, maybe, 3rd and 2, those type of situations, because it's more manageable, because then that opens up the playbook for you to be able to kill them with your arm or kill them with your legs. So those are the two areas that I thought, hey, if Rattler can become better at, then it's going to take his game to another level, because it's going to open more things up. But for somebody like Caleb, you look at him, you say, well, obviously he's the better athlete. It just opens up a lot more things, not only for him, but for this team in general, right, especially in a Levy offense with, some of the RPO concepts that he has. It's going to open up a lot, because they're gonna be thrown off. And you saw that with Oregon last night. Whenever you established a run, I mean, they started getting closer to the line, because now you're coming into the game thinking, okay, well, when Brooks is on the field, we know he's going to run. When Gray comes on the field, 1 out of probably 6 snaps, he's actually going to run it. They're just going to send him, as a little out route, or maybe line him up as a wide receiver somewhere. But no, like, you got a heavy dose of the run early and often. And it was beautiful. But when the GT counter was working, I was like, wait a minute. And I think that was around the time that Perrion tweeted out, what he tweeted out. I was like, oh, yeah. So,
dude, they've been cracking me up on social media, man. I'm like, I hope they can back it up with some play in the future, because they're writing some big checks. But I think it's I think it was obviously a whole month to game plan for one team is helpful for the most part, at least. And also having a Hall of Fame coaching you. I mean, there's so much more to this game than just X's and O's, right? And for him to get in there, there's a reason that, he won more games than any coach in his first 18 years in college football history and all this. And he's got all these accolades and he's a Hall of Famer. There's a reason. It wasn't because he had a good offensive coordinator calling plays. It wasn't because he had a good defensive coordinator calling plays and he had a good strength and conditioning coach. That's not, Bob Stoops, as we all know, is a Hall of Famer for a reason. So I think that can't be lost is, hey, guys, let's go and have fun out there. You guys can, we're Oklahoma. We need to, leave our stamp on this. We need this, that, and the other. And I think you could tell the guys were having a blast. The players were having an absolute blast out there. And you could even, especially in the first half. But you're right, with them creeping up on the line. I think with Spencer, you found he was throwing the ball deep so much. I feel like he was trying to win the Heisman and be the number 1 overall pick on every throw. Yeah. Like, I'm going to throw this bomb and it's going to drop in. And then he wouldn't take the checkdowns. And then when Caleb gets in, I thought it was interesting. So when he went in against Texas and he starts hitting on those 50-50s to Mims and deep, game-changing plays, right? Season-changing plays. I thought to myself, man, this reminds me of one of the first times I ever went to a casino. I was at Hard Rock here. I just got done golfing. I was going to meet my dad for lunch. He was around the Hard Rock out here. So we go in and I sit down at a Wizard of Oz slot machine. And I'm just waiting. I'm still in my golf shoes. I hit a couple times and I ended up winning like a few $100. I was like, this is amazing. Why don't people do this more often? Why do people have jobs? You could just go in here. You just give it money and it gives you more back. It's ridiculous. I'm a professional gambler now. So that was the worst thing that could happen to somebody, right? Because then you just think, oh, well, this is easy. I'll just go do this all the time. This is reliable. If I went into the casino and lost $100 on just boop, boop, 10 spins, $100 gone, I'd have been like, this gambling stuff's dumb. I'm never going back to a casino. You know what I mean? I feel like Caleb had a little bit of that throughout the season with, dude, all I got to do is throw it up to Marvin Mims and he's going to come down with it because that's what happens. This is awesome, man. I'm going to let this thing fly. And then he did it a couple more times, and you're like, Caleb, stop letting it fly, man. Yeah. Like, you're gambling. You just won your first time in the casino. Mm-hmm. And then now you keep pulling that lever. Eventually you're going to lose. So anyways, I think that was both players we saw at different points of this year try and take those long shots over and over and over. But it was for two different reasons, I think.
Yeah. And while we're on the topic, obviously, of Caleb Williams, obviously it's something we got to address a little bit. So the big question for everybody is, will Caleb Williams return? And one thing I want to make clear,
we don't know.
And one thing I want to make clear, I said this on Twitter, and for everybody in the chat, look, I'm not saying you can't go out there and we can't say what our appreciation has been for Caleb this year and everything he's had to endure. But what we don't need to do is be tagging him and everything, be like, Caleb, please come. Because here, two reasons. Like, one, all it does is devalue the University of Oklahoma and who we are if we're groveling for a player, right? Yeah. As great as Caleb Williams is, we've had Heisman winning quarterbacks before Lincoln Riley, right? Like, I mean, Sam Bradford, Jason White. Like, we have a history of that too. We're the University of Oklahoma. Would it suck? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we want him here? Undoubtedly. Like, that dude's going to win a Heisman. We want him here. But we can't as fans put ourselves in that position. Secondly, he's a 18-year-old kid and doesn't owe us anything. He's been through probably the hardest year, if not the second or first hardest year of his life, depending on what he's going to say, because he lost his entire senior season, right? Mm-hmm. And then right after that, he comes in Oklahoma and loses the coach that he thought he was going to have for his entire college career in a backstabbing way. And so he deserves vacation with his family, and he deserves to go and take this process. And he's probably going to go to the transfer portal just to find options, and that's okay. That's okay. Let him figure it out. And you know what? Trust that our coaches have done everything that they have. That the fans, people in Norman, are as kind as they are. They've seen it, right? Caleb's seen it. His family's seen it. At this point, we've done all we can do. We're going to pray for him. Hopefully he makes a good decision, informed decision, and hopefully it's with us. If not, wish him well.
So here's my 2 cents on it real quick. So Caleb is likely going to enter the transfer portal because he's going to hear pitches from other schools. He is not hearing those pitches from other schools right now. It's just not happening because he's still on the roster, and he is the most high-profile athlete in the country that is still on a roster that people are obviously going to go after. So it would be stupid for coaches just to start DMing him and all this stuff. So all this stuff that I know Rufus said, hey, coach, Tebow's probably still contacting all this stuff. Like, yeah, maybe. I mean, he's through back channels. Maybe he's reached out, but he ain't getting he ain't going out to USC. But my thing is, Caleb family has turned down millions of dollars of NIL deals. This is not OU just needs to pony up $1 million and Caleb will come play. This is not. He wants to be developed. That's what he cares about. That's why he was going to go to LSU before Joe Brady left, and that's why he came to OU to get developed by Lincoln Riley. This was never about Caleb's going to make money. He'll make millions by the time he leaves whatever school he leaves because he's that big. He's got massive deals that we don't even know about. And that's the thing. All these people, we need to start NIL and we're going to keep them. No, that's not what they're motivated by. And that's what's interesting is they're motivated by how are you developing quarterbacks? That's why, like I said, that's why he was going to go where Joe Brady went. That's why he went where Lincoln Riley went. So it'll be interesting. Does he think Levy is that dude? Does he think as a branding guy, does he think it would be such a hit to his brand to leave now and try and get another fan base? Because here's the thing. I'm just floating this out there. This is not this. I better not see on Twitter that Travis said this on the podcast that this was going to happen. So I know some people are going to do it as jokes now, but Casey Thompson has, by many reports, said that he would come back to Oklahoma. He's still in the portal. He'd come back to Oklahoma. His dad obviously played at Oklahoma, played in the game of the century. I mean, he's very much an OU star quarterback in history. Casey would come here. Casey would play very well. Here's the thing when you think about branding, and keep in mind Caleb's brand is gold. It's massive. So if Caleb were to leave and Casey Thompson were to come play at OU, you kind of wonder about how the current climate of the insulation of OU football has been. You know what? Lincoln Riley leaves. Let's bring in our own guy, Brent Venables. Let's bring in our own guy, Jeff Levy, that was with us before. Let's bring back Schmitty. Let's get the gang back together. Oh, Caleb leaves. Let's bring in Casey Thompson. He's part of the family. You know what I mean? That's where I think it's a unique position where I think Caleb and Caleb's dad specifically, they're really thinking of the brand and how important it is to protect the brand of Caleb Williams. And the brand of Caleb Williams will be the hottest thing in the country if he stays. It will be, we will support him like we've never supported a player before. But expect him to get in the portal so he can hear what other schools are offering from a development standpoint, not just checks. That's what everybody's going to say. They're going to say, oh, hey, he's just trying to take the biggest offer. That's simply not the case. This guy knows that he's going to make a heck of a lot of money in college. And then he's going to go make a heck of a lot of money in the pros. And there's a lot more money to make in the pros than there is in college. So
Texas, please say that again for the people in the back for Texas.
Exactly. Money talks, but long-term money talks louder. If you're a guy that listens to college money, then the money that talks to you, you've got really small ears. So if you're that short-sighted, then I'm glad that Caleb Williams is having these conversations and not some of the people that think you can be bought with $50,000. So if you're quality, you aren't being bought with $50,000. Even Caleb, I mean, big time stuff. I mean, that's nonsense. So any conversations that are about, oh, Caleb's just going to go take the biggest money offer. No, then you haven't listened or paid attention to anything the Williams family's ever talked about. It's always been about developing Caleb into an NFL quarterback. That's always what it's always been about. That's why Travis, he was going to go. Go ahead.
Travis, let me get in there for real quick on that one right there. Let's piggyback that. So I think it's something that we actually should unpack. That's the most important thing. I like what you said about the branding thing, but I think the development thing is probably the most important. So Grimlock, who's always in the Twitter space, shout out to him. He brought up an interesting point the other night when we were talking just some OU Texas smack the other day. And he said, I told him, I brought up the point where I had a Texas fan ask me, they said, if you're Levy, what's your pitch to Caleb? And I say, honestly, you don't have to pitch that much except for just to say like, hey, it's not like you're going to be learning a brand new flipping offense. This offense has a lot of the same concepts as Riley's. It's different, but there's some ways where it's similar, where it can mirror that at times. And plus, I just took Matt Corral, turned him into probably a first-round draft pick. You're a better athlete, and you may have more upside than him, which I believe he does have more upside than Matt Corral. And you're saying, hey, this offense, once you like get it down all the way, you're going to be fine. So what Grimlock said was, well, I think the problem is that Caleb wants to be developed, and you have to look at the quarterbacks who came from that Art Briles, Jeff Levy type offense. How have they done in the NFL? So I thought that was an interesting point. I couldn't totally agree with him because I'm like, hey, different players, big time players make big time plays, and I think that Caleb is special and he has it. I just don't see him failing wherever he goes. He's that type of kid. He's got that type of glow to him. But at the same time, you can't lie with the statistics or the numbers alone with the fact that outside of RG3's rookie year, what quarterback that's came from that system has actually did anything worthwhile in the NFL. So I think it's definitely an interesting point. But the most important part of it all, and just piggybacking off of something else that Travis said, was the fact that all these coaches want to talk to him, make their pitches or whatnot. But guess what? For the last month, we've been able to make our pitch every single day. So I think that's
on the stage. On the stage.
Yeah.
Venables is making the pitch on the stage during the trophy presentation.
Yeah.
Bob's making the pitch. I mean, those are your everyday salesman.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the whole thing. Those guys have clout. They have the awards. They have everything backing them, including Sooner Nation, right? But I think that's an interesting point. I just want to get you guys' takes on that as far as let's unpack that development thing, because it's you could go and say, hey, man, look, Levy offense, explosive. Hell, it was better than Riley's the last 2 years. You can go off of all of that. But at the same time, where he's headed, where he's trying to go to, I think that's probably the most important thing. And you just look at those other quarterbacks and you say they've not lasted in the league that long.
Well, I'll jump in real quick, and then Seth, I want to let you get in your whatever you have to say for this or this section. I hear that for sure. But like Trav said, I mean, I think they're trusting that obviously Caleb wants to be developed, but they know his talent, and ultimately your goal is to get developed to get to the league, because eventually, even in the league, you're going to be developed by the people there. So like what you're asking essentially is, can you do enough to get me first round, right? I'm an athletic director, and what I tell my kids all the time, I'm at a small Christian school, right? And so, obviously I don't have the big facilities that a 5A school does because I'm a 1A school. Yeah. But I tell my kids all the time, sometimes at a 5A school, you're especially if you're like a 3-star, 2-star kid. Just for example, you may get the life stomped out of you. You may not actually be developed. They don't care about you here. In my school, you're going to actually be able to get on the floor or the court or whatever field, and you're going to actually be able to develop. You're going to get good coaching. You're going to get people that care about you, and ultimately, what that does for you is by the time you're a senior, coaches are going to come looking at you, because I'm like, look, if you're killing people on the field, that gets you an audience. That's what we're supposed to do for you. We're supposed to give you an opportunity, give you some exposure, and I can promise you that. Can you get that somewhere else? I don't know. And so the correlation there is what their job, Levy's job, is to do is to get Caleb enough notice to be a first-round draft pick, and then from there, to be honest, like, yeah, can we talk about, is he good enough mentally in the head and what offensive schemes they've done? Does it translate well to the NFL? Yes, but also that's part of the coach's job in the NFL to do too. So like I hear that, but at the same time, I think it's only college coaches can do so much, right? Otherwise, they just go with them to the NFL. Their job is to get them enough, production, whatever you call it, to be a first-round draft pick, and then from there, that's all you can ask them to do. You got to take off from there. So that's my opinion. Seth, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I mean, I would just echo all of your sentiments as far as what Caleb should do or could do, and I mean, it really, the only thing I could add is that I think it's arguable that we haven't seen a player, at least in the last 10 years, at OU, who has been more calculated as far as like the moves he makes. I mean, like Travis was kind of breaking down as far as like through high school and like what his college decisions were and why. I mean, like, with his dad and his family, they really factor in every part of it. And obviously, yeah, development is the number one because he clearly has the talent and ability to play at the highest level of football, which is the NFL. And not just play there, but he could become, he could be doing what we see K1 doing for the Cardinals and such like that, and getting better with each year. Like he's not going to be a one-hit wonder as a rookie, under the right coaching. But I mean, even if he doesn't have the very best coaching, like he's just that good. Like he's a generational type of talent. He has that in him. We believe that. So like with that, knowing that he factors all that in, he and his family, I think that's what makes it even harder for us to kind of gauge, if we were going to try to put a percentage on like, whoa, we think he's going to stay or is he going to go? Like, I wouldn't, like, I think you could just really just put it at a straight up 50-50 at this point. But like, also there's a lot of reasons, for as many reasons as people want to give to say why he won't stick around, why he hasn't announced it yet or whatever. There's a lot of reasons why he shouldn't. Like we've been talking about the reasons why he should, and it would be in his best interest to stay, because there are a lot of positives. Like if he does stay, and then for the next 2 years under Levy and what we all kind of expect that progression to take place for him, I mean that's a future first round pick, probably a top 10 pick. I mean it's just it's looking like that's where he would be headed, but the same thing could be said for probably just about anywhere else he goes, as far as like whoever's on his list, which we don't know if he has that list yet. Like obviously he's going to have to enter the transfer portal to be, formally contacted by schools, which that's also an expectation, or it's all at least on the table. We'll find out, I guess, soon. I mean, do we know? I guess I could pose this. Do we know when it's like, does he have to make that decision before like the OU spring semester starts, which isn't like,
yeah, he'll make it in the next 7 to 10 days is what I've been it's been intimated. But there's a little bit of revisionist history going on right now with like an RG3. Like Shanahan almost got the guy killed Like ruined his career. When's the last time Washington developed a quarterback? You know, like, are we supposed to go after, you know, guys, whoever developed Josh Allen, you know, whoever developed Carson Wentz at North Dakota State? Like, at some point, it's, I mean, are we saying Mac Jones would be playing as well as Mac Jones if he took Trevor Lawrence's spot in Jacksonville? Do we think Trevor Lawrence would have been better off in New England? Do you think that he would probably be playing all right under Bill Belichick with Josh McDaniel? Do you think there's so many situations? So,
Yeah.
and also, we're talking Baylor and UCF and the product and talent, not only that they have at the quarterback position, but the talent around them, the offensive line, the weapons, all that kind of stuff that they can develop with are more so the guys they're going to play with in the NFL. You're looking at that versus OU. So I think when you look at who's being developed by, you know, Levy in these different systems, I mean, sure, but nobody has ever been Caleb Williams in that system. There's never been a Caleb Williams in that system. So I just think, and then like I said, the revisionist history of, I mean, Washington has never developed a quarterback. I mean, and you've got RG3 who Shanahan just basically almost got killed out there, ruined his career by continuing to run him while he was injured, putting him back out there, stuff like that. There's no consistent, I mean, if you were to name the top 3 quarterback developers in the league right now, I mean, who would they be? Because you can poke holes in really any of them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically. And Lincoln would obviously be in the top 3, but Caleb's not going to USC. Like, stop those. Like, Caleb's not going to USC. So it's, who are the best developers out there? I mean, do you look at Chip Kelly, you know, at UCLA? Do you look at Jimbo? But they've got like 4 quarterbacks right now. You know, do you look at going out to Alabama? But Bryce Young's got another year. He's coming off a Heisman year, and they're the number 1 seed.
Georgia.
You know, what if they win the title? Are they going to sit a year? Georgia's faint. Yeah, right. Yeah, I hope that was a joke. I mean,
hey, could you imagine? Sorry to cut you off, Travis, but could you imagine?
You're good.
Could you imagine? I was thinking about this today. I said, could you imagine if Caleb was flirting with the idea of going to Georgia? If you're Brock Vandagriff, you have to be pissed right now.
Oh,
you gotta be
like, get this guy away from me. Get this guy away from me.
These 2
That's
balls
like
here. This mofo want to come back.
That's like the Nick
I can't
Foles,
get away from him.
That's like the Nick Foles Carson Wentz thing. Nick Foles keeps following Carson Wentz around,
Yeah,
and you gotta be driving him wild.
It's like I can't get away from him. Like I was
let's be clear.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is not going to sit on the bench anywhere. Caleb Williams is not going to Bama to sit behind Bryce Young. He is not going to Ohio State to sit behind CJ Stroud. He wouldn't probably sit behind most of these guys, but Quinn Ewers just transferred out because he couldn't beat out CJ Stroud. I have my own thoughts and opinions about Quinn Ewers. And I had them long before he went to Texas, so I've been consistent with this. But I just don't think there's no way in hell he has starting job, God amongst men, you know, already a statue being designed at Oklahoma, and says I could start here, or I'm going to go sit for a year behind somewhere else that probably already has another 5-star waiting in the wings, and I got to wait my turn, do all this. No, it's not going to happen. So. But I think that's what's important. We've already identified quarterback development as being an important trait. So outside of Lincoln, who are the best quarterback? I want some names. Who are the best quarterback developers? We got Jimbo, Chip. Who else? Who we got?
I mean,
Dan Mullen just got fired.
Don't put Jimbo there.
You talk about Steve Sarkisian, but I mean that jury is still out on that as well.
Yeah, and Quinn Ewers is going to transfer again. Like,
I don't know. We're saying Notre Dame. I don't know who Notre Dame has quarterbacks wise. I mean, they just got rid of Brian Kelly, so he's not going to LSU because I don't even know who's down there at LSU. Brian Kelly hasn't had a good quarterback since he's been in Notre Dame.
No, him and Tommy Rees. Exactly. You know what? Just a sidetrack for a second. I keep saying that about that Notre Dame OSU game. I'm like, okay, on one side you got Spencer Sanders. Then on the other side, you got 3 quarterbacks who play every game for for Notre Dame, and I'm like, they're just collectively, they're just as bad as Spencer Sanders has been this year. So I don't know. That game's a toss-up to me. But as far as quarterback developers, that's a hard question because
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I have any great answers, really.
That's a good one. Josh Heupel's a decent one.
I don't know.
But I'm saying track record wise. I mean, who is
that's
like
fair.
lately?
Yeah.
Lately.
Lately.
Mackenzie Mill. I mean, Levy was at UCF. I mean, that Levy is a Heupel essentially descendant. I mean, so that's where he got his start. That's where he met Heupel. That's how he ended up at UCF was with so it's kind of if you're gonna say that one's the developer, then you can just say it's Levy's the same guy.
I would just look at people in his top 5 too. I mean, wasn't Penn State in his top 5 initially?
Yeah, but Sean Clifford, he went back there.
Yeah, but he's way better than Sean Clifford. I know he knows he could go there and absolutely get that job. So that
Caleb would start at pretty much everywhere, but I mean, we could name on one hand. Maybe Alabama, likely Ohio State,
maybe Georgia.
No, he'd start at Georgia immediately. Oh, well, I don't know. They got rid of Justin Fields because they were idiots. They had him on had him running fake punts and shit. So I don't know. They probably screwed that up. But
it burns my lips to say this, but
where would
Dan Mullen's a really good quarterback?
But he's not anywhere right now.
I know he's not anywhere, but I'm just saying, what if he went to the right situation?
Well, I mean, but he still didn't know the right quarterback to play at Florida all year. Every Florida fan I know was like, man, he doesn't even know who he's playing. So
that's true.
Gundy, freak show. I'm about to mute you. That Mike Gundy stuff. Get out of here. No, but that's I guess that's my point. And the fact that we're having a tough time coming up with an obvious choice of quarterback developers that are head and shoulders above Levy shows you that there aren't any. And there aren't any other situations that would just be obvious. I mean, who's been putting quarterbacks in the first round?
Yeah, that's how I was trying to do it in my head, just like thinking the last few years, like which quarterbacks.
You in Alabama. I mean, that's about it.
I mean, I know.
Yeah, but he's not going to Bama because he's not going to sit for a year behind Bryce Young. Yeah. Caleb Williams is not going to a college to sit on the bench.
Correct.
I know he's not.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I know Caleb's not going to Maryland, but I know they were. I mean, just obviously he's from DC and everything, and I know they were in his top 3 when he had a top 3. But I'm saying he's not. At least I'm going on record and saying he's not going to Maryland. But I mean, they got Mike Locksley, and he would definitely beat out Talia Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just like. And I mean, Maryland, just as a side note, that's everyone always says, they're a sleeping giant just because of where they are and everything. But it's just not gonna. I don't see them ever being competitive in football. Like I just don't see it. But that's just another one. Like maybe like if you want to talk about like some like I got dudes with track records. He's got up there. Loxley's got a bit of a at least offensively, and I don't know how quarterbacks. I'd have to look at who he had back at Bama and stuff, but.
Yeah.
Trav, you want to answer this?
The family did not take kindly to that. I was on the phone with Carl 30 minutes before the news dropped that Lincoln was leaving. He was totally blindsided by it. We were talking about what we were doing for the offensive line next year when Caleb was going to be here, doing this, that, and the other. And USC's coming off a 4-8 year. He's already – I mean, he's not – and Lincoln obviously has reached out through – in his specific ways. Obviously, that's the first person you text to try and get them to, leave to go to USC with you. The fact that he didn't leave, the fact that, he's got Jackson Dart still there, and not to say he couldn't beat out Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's a fine quarterback, but not to say Caleb couldn't beat him out. But when you've been recruiting Caleb as long as Lincoln had, and you told his family you were going to be at Oklahoma, because that's when all the NFL rumors were happening. And you said, hey, I will be here. I'm not going to the NFL. If he says he's not going somewhere, I guess we can't rule out him going somewhere else. We learned that the hard way. But
not going to LSU.
But no, he's not. Caleb is not going to USC. His family did not take kindly to Lincoln leave. And how do they know Lincoln's going to stay at USC? What if he bounces the NFL in 2 years? Would anybody put it past him?
No, not at this point. I wouldn't put anything past Tebow. I just can't.
Why would Sean? I don't know why you're on this Caleb Williams to Bama thing. He would sit behind Bryce Young. Bryce Young is the defending Heisman champion. He's not going to sit for a year. He's not
The
going to sit for a
entire
year.
quarterback room would leave. I promise you they would.
This isn't.
Go ahead.
This isn't a situation where Baker's coming in and supplanting Trevor Knight. You don't go in and supplant a Heisman winner and just say, hey, I'm big man on campus, because Caleb, that would drive a stake between him and the team anyways. Caleb's a man of the people. He wants to take care of his offensive linemen. He wants to, be a leader of men, and he understands the relationship that he has with his team is extremely important to the team's success. So for him to come in and act like, oh no, I'm gonna supplant Bryce Young, and that's the only way I'm gonna come, is if I'm the defending Heisman winner. I'm gonna go ahead and say, nah, you on the bench now. He doesn't want to go into that.
Oh, so he wanted to smoke with Spencer this year coming into the season. From everything you've heard from him, from the Prairie on the podcast and all that.
Yeah. Of course he did. But the situations are situations are entirely different than when he was coming in as a true freshman, knowing that Spencer was only going to be here 1 year. The worst thing that could happen was, oh no, I'm a true freshman and I didn't start. That's the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah. And so the consensus, y'all, everybody that's in here right now, Caleb's going to take his time, and we're going to find out in a week to 10 days, essentially. OU has the inside track. He was already here. His family loves the area. He loves the fans, as he said literally last night. I love you, OU freaking fans, OU family. So that doesn't mean he's going to stay. It's not 100%. But if you're taking notes, if you're paying attention, it means you have the inside track, right? Levy's been able to talk to him. They talk every day. Venables is on the full court press. They're doing everything that they can. And he has he has a home run ball set up for him here. And if he doesn't take it, then that's his decision. It's on him. Obviously, we can sit here and say, you should take it, but it's on him. And so there's no reason for y'all to freak out. I truly, in my heart of hearts, I believe he'll be back. So does Trav. But again, let him take his time. He deserves his vacation. We'll move on. Hey, real quick, this is our last segment. Then we're going to get into some questions towards the end. We don't want to run over too long, maybe an hour, 15 minutes. We want to get these young gentlemen their time back. Thank them for coming out tonight. And obviously hope we have a great New Year's and stay safe. Guys, how soon do you think Brent Venables makes the playoffs as a head coach?
Man,
sorry.
I think –
or Seth, go ahead.
I'll start. Yeah, so I think if Caleb is the quarterback in 2022, I think that offense, what we saw against Oregon, is going to be more of that through the Big 12. And we know just from history, there's a clear path for OU through the Big 12 to the playoff if they just take care of business. We've seen it 4 different times. So I think it could be as early as next season with Caleb. Actually, if Caleb is here in 2022, I think they're getting into the playoffs in 2022. If it's not Caleb, though, if Caleb decides to head out, obviously I wouldn't even know who the quarterback's going to be at that point. But there'd be a competition. But at that point, I wouldn't. My expectations would drop somewhat significantly. Like maybe the Big 12 championship, maybe that'd be like a ceiling kind of thing. But otherwise, obviously there's like so much else to play out on other teams and everything. But yeah, with Caleb, I think Brent Venables can get to the playoffs as early as in his first season.
Yeah, I think there's too many variables, right?
Yeah.
Is the playoff expanding? Yes. We know it is eventually. When are we going to the SEC? Who's going to be our quarterback?
That's true too.
Those are maybe the 3. I would argue if you just had any team right now, and you weren't talking about Oklahoma, you had any team and you said, hey, do you think Team A will make the playoffs? What are the first 3 questions you'd probably ask? Well, what conference are they in? I need to know their path. How many playoff teams are there? I need to know the what the room for error is, right? And then who's their quarterback? It's the most important position on the team. So we got all three of those questions are not answered. so I don't know. Could be next year. Could be. It's so hard, but obviously, I think all of us are going to lean on the side of soon. I hope. So, Kchris, what's up? What do you think?
So I'm looking at the schedule, and I think some our toughest. So Baylor, O State, obviously they come to us this year.
Yeah, that's big. We have some scheduling breaks for sure.
Yep.
The Thursday night at Iowa State. If Purdy does come back,
Oh gosh.
which I think, hey, before we get out of here, we got to talk about that. That I don't what the hell. I mean, like literally, but still. Now looking at the schedule, man, I don't know. And let me throw my shot real quick. Texas fans, front and center, please. Texas fans always come at me and say, "Well, how do you guys expect? You guys expect to go be better than 9-3 next year?" I'm like, yes. Look, we're not. This is not Sark inheriting a 9-3 team losing their key players, like a lot of key players and a lot of like players that have played a lot of football for you guys. And this is not Sarkisian inheriting that team and then going on and having to use freshmen and Bijan overusing them and all the rest of that. This is a 10-2 team, 11-2 team after last night. So this team that BV is inheriting is still a really good team. And I always felt like even with the recruiting classes, yes, those recruiting classes that's icing on the cake. You can still build with them because there's still a lot of question marks on your roster anyways. Will Billy Bowman take that next step? Will McCutcheon take that next step? Will we see more Clayton Smith? Will Brendan Walker be another guy? Will Stutzman take that next step? With Smitty coming back, is that going to make both sides of the ball in the trenches, the D line and the O line, is that going to make them better? So there's a lot of different variables. And I'm just saying, like, he could literally build within on this team. A guy like Stripling could probably take another leap and really probably play himself into maybe not the first or second round, but maybe, later rounds or whatnot. I mean, there's all types of questions, just kind of like what Travis alluded to. But I would say next year. I say next year. If Caleb comes back for sure, I see no reason why we can't be there. But it just depends. I have to see. But our schedule is really favorable. You get past that, you go to Lincoln. You go to Nebraska, you beat them, come home, handle business against K-State, who is going to be a bit better. I will say that. I think Adrian Martinez is a really good pickup for them because he fits that mold up there, and he's gonna be able to do a lot more things than what Skylar Thompson was able to do. But just in closing, what I'm saying, besides that Iowa State game, I don't know. It's just hard not to see this team just run through the Big 12 and go to and win another Big 12 championship on their way to the playoffs.
Yeah. Trav, did you answer? I didn't. I must have not heard you. Did you say?
I use my cop-out answer. Like, there's too many variables.
Too many variables. You did say that. Yeah. No, I'm in between. I mean, I can see Trav's point to as to too many variables you don't know. But
if it's a 14 playoff with Caleb Williams in the Big 12, I think next year.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. If Caleb's there, I think undoubtedly, I think the defense is obviously going to step up. Obviously, it's a new scheme, but Brent Venables is Brent Venables. We still have a lot of talent returning. I mean, Trav tweeted out last night that the freshmen, obviously they got worn out, but the freshmen that are on the D line, the young cats were getting after it, and they're freshmen. They're coming back. And they're getting Brent Venables. They're going to go through the summer with Smitty. Like there's a lot to be excited about. The linebacker play is there. You got guys like Iguebu that can take that next step. You guys got like Stutzman, Witter is probably one of the fastest guys on the team in general. I think he's a slept-on player, in my opinion, that could be developed into an amazing type of dude. You got, obviously, Kobe and Connect at that position. Linebacker position is probably going to be the best it's been in a while as far as depth goes next year. And you got the best linebacker coach in the country as your head coach, right? So that I think all that to be said, there's absolutely every way that we can make the playoff next year. And I think for sure you can pencil us in 2023, in my opinion.
Guys,
the Georgia game early, but
I just want to jump in and say this right here. Reggie Grimes has to make more noise than Jalen Redmond, because if he's making more noise than Jalen Redmond next year, that means our defensive line did not take a step back. Because that kid right there has star potential written all over him. It's just up to him. What does he want to do with it? Because I feel like if when Jalen Redmond's healthy, you know what you can get from him when he's focused and he's in that zone. Isaiah Cole, I think Isaiah Cole is another guy who's going to benefit from playing under Coach Venables. But Reggie Grimes, that kid right there, it's all on him. I think that defensive line, or really the defensive unit as a whole, I think it's going to go as far as he takes them. And I think he's the one for sure that needs to take that next step. It's written all over his face. He's got star potential. It's just on him. Does he want it or not?
Sure. All right, hey guys, I'm going to open up the floor to questions, and I'll make sure I put them up here for you guys, Kchris and Seth, because I'm not sure if you can see the comments. And so we'll grab can you guys see them?
Yeah.
We'll grab a couple here and see what we can put up. So guys, go ahead and put some questions in the chat. If you haven't asked any already. This isn't a question, this is more of a statement, but I really like this from Richard, because I said this last night. I said, pencil this down, write this tweet down. Ethan Downs is going to be a first-round draft pick in 2 years. And I mean, he already looks the part. He's an Oklahoma guy. He's got a high motor. I mean, he's built in the form of a Watt brother. I mean, he just is. He's got that written all over him. Getting him with Schmitty and getting him with his paws in the ground consistently. I think Ethan Downs is going to be an amazing player for the Sooners.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick some questions real quick.
All right, yeah. Just to go on that Ethan Downs thing, I've been on record saying that I'm a big fan of him. Like every time I see him on the field, it seems like he's just moving at top speed, and a speed that not everybody, especially as a true freshman, like the game, it just doesn't, whether the game is moving fast for him or not, it doesn't look like it. That's for sure. Like he's always around the ball, and yeah, like I mean, if that's what he's looking like as a true freshman, like or in his first action that we've seen him in the season, it's going to be interesting to see what he does when the game starts to really slow down for him, and when he gets his builds up his body even more so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big Downs guy. Like I said, the no drip, that's he's just there to play football, man. That's all he wants to do. No gloves, gloves, nothing.
Reminded me of that the same thing happened with me in watching that game out last night with the Oregon running back Dye.
Dude,
he got no glove, no bands, nothing. He just his arms out there, but
football player.
Yeah, he just makes play like dude's going 100 miles an hour, like small guy, but he's fierce.
They have not officially named a DB coach yet. They have selected the coach. They've started to tell some of the commits. Look for likely next week, depending on how the playoff games go. It will probably be next week announcement. Will Lynn Gentry and Connect? I mean, Jaron's.
Yeah,
he's enrolled. I know some people are searching his name and they're like, his name's not in there anymore. Like he's an OU guy, no doubt. Unless Brent somehow said he didn't get accepted into college. That's one thing funny. Kobe cracked me up. So Kobe McKenzie's real name is Jacoby. So he was typing his full name into the student registry, and he wasn't finding himself. So he called, I think it was Drew, or Kale. He called Kale. He's like, dude, did I not get accepted to OU? He's like, I'm trying to sign and all this stuff. He didn't think he got accepted. He was just putting in the wrong name. So I thought that was funny. I think Gentry returns. The dude, his dad, Thomas Williams, put him in OU clothes the day he was brought home from the hospital. He was born to be here. A late offer by Jackson State is not going to sway this kid when he's looking to make a decision in the next week or two. I mean, I personally don't think it's going to happen. So, let's go here. Who do you see making the biggest defensive impact next season? I'm going to take I'm going to take Danny Stutzman first. just
Like-
because I knew that was going to be somebody's answer. So I'm taking it because I'm the one that clicked. So I called Danny Stutzman. Y'all
Well,
go ahead.
I got Billy Bowman. I mean, like we saw a lot from him, you know, in what in the, you know, time that he had on the field. I mean, there's a reason why the dude was as highly recruited as he was, and you know, he can play both sides of the ball. We saw it in high school, but I don't think we'll see that in his college career because I think he's really going to shine on defense. I really hope they find like a true home for him. You know, it looked like at times he just wasn't really in the right position, you know, under Grinch and those guys. So I think that he's going to find, you know, I just feel like this staff is going to be a lot more competent defensively. Everyone's going to be on the same page and they know what they're doing. They got the track record. I just think sky's the limit for Billy Bowman.
I need to see him in the return game badly.
Yeah.
I need to see him with the ball in his hands because he's 5'10", about 190. I'm not sure what size they're looking for on the back end of Venables' defense. That's why the only reason that I'm just not sure how he'd fit in size-wise. But I want him to, after not returning kicks all year and punts. I was so excited that we were returning punts in the bowl game. I was so excited.
And Mims was the guy doing it.
Yeah, I was so excited about it. So yeah, I think we need to get Bowman involved in the return game. That's for sure. The guy's just dynamic.
And is it Brandon Hall? Is he taking over special teams as well?
I think he'll have an eye on it. He'll be safeties, but he'll be. I think unless they promote somebody else and kind of specialize with it, he's got special teams experience. I'll put it that way.
Right.
Chris, who you got as your biggest defensive impact player, bro?
Oh, come on, man. Keith Lawrence all day, every day. Come on.
I hope he's okay. I know he went to the locker room and his dad went down to the locker room too. So I hope it's usually not good when you see the parents go down to the locker room. So hopefully everything's all right with him.
Yeah, but no, I got Keith Lawrence. I think they're going to be able to use him all over the field. I think he's somebody everybody. I mean, obviously the comparisons out there. Everybody wants to throw out Isaiah Simmons' name, so he's about as close as we can get to that. So I feel like he can play whatever you want him to play and however Venables is going to run that system. And obviously, like I just talked about him, I'd say Reggie Grimes too. I feel like those two are primed to have a really, really big season next year. So yeah.
I obviously have said Ethan Downs, but one other guy that I think is, in my opinion, criminally underrated, was hurt a little bit this year, that could really take a step up is Isaiah Coe. Okay. That man is already huge. He's already strong as an ox, and you get him in there with Schmitty and get him a little bigger too. Man, I know we're going to miss Perrion, but I'm telling y'all, if you watch Isaiah Coe on tape, that man is special. And I think he has an opportunity to be in the middle of that defense next year and really impact the game. Obviously, Ethan Downs, like I said, a third one is I did say Shane Whittier. I think Venables can do a lot with that speed at the linebacker position. In my opinion, I think Stutzman and Whittier are your day one starters at linebacker, in my opinion. But we'll see.
I do think, it's exciting that we're all able to come up with different players and really be convinced. I think another guy, when you brought up injuries, my mind went to Woody Washington.
Oh, yeah,
Woody.
I'm really excited for him to have a full, healthy year in Venables' system. And Woody, again, sky's the limit with a guy like that. So having Woody healthy really shores up one side of that corner. So I'm excited for him to be healthy, and he's a good dude. Good. I like those answers. I did not confirm Casey to OU, so cut that out.
It didn't happen.
Let's see. Yes, Caleb's family currently lives in Norman. They're looking for houses in the area, looking at like Mustang and Yukon and Edmond and all the surrounding areas. So
shout out to Mustangs, where I'm from.
Ooh, they got some up and coming talent in there.
Trav, what do you think about this one?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead.
Turn it back. Go back to it. I didn't see it.
Oh, I mean, if a lot of these, it's like if they're still here, but I'm just going to assume all the guys that are here are still here. So Mims is definitely a starter.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mims and Mario kind of feel like the two most obvious, right?
Yeah.
Woods, too.
I think Woods is. Do you think Woods stays?
I pray to God he
I've
does.
heard he is staying.
Yeah.
I think
I don't know.
Woods,
Again, this is why it's such a tough question.
he would benefit from coming back, bro. I mean, let's just be real. I really feel like Weiss. I feel like you throw Weiss in there too as a starter.
This is why we're excited. Like the names that we just freaking threw out.
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious? Like
if you go back and watch Ole Miss, I went back and watched some Ole Miss games just to kind of see what's the hype about this Levy offense. One name that sticks out, one guy that stuck out was Dontario Drummond. And I'm looking at Levy like, bro, you got a bunch of those type of guys here. You don't have just one guy that you got to send him all over the field and everything. Like, no, you don't have to do that. You can put Mario here in the slot because Drummond was all over the place. He was in the slot. He was outside. I mean, whatever type of route you wanted him to run, he could run it. They did jet sweeps. They did all types of stuff. You know, he was really versatile in that offense, and he was a big part of that offense. You go back and watch the Louisville game and then watch the Mississippi State game as well and just see how he just worked the ball up and down the field. A lot of times he would go east and west, and sometimes they would try to stretch him out vertically, but he was a big part of that. And I'm like, Levy, you're going to be spoiled when you get to OU because you're going to have a plethora of wide receivers. Even the incoming freshmen can make an impact, but I mean, hell, you're looking for guys like Cody Jackson, Jalil Farouk, and Mario Williams. You're looking for that trio to actually pan out, unlike the five-star trio that we had, which is crazy to think about that with those three, Stogner and Spencer. It's just wild that, you know. But, yeah, no, we have talent at the wide receiver position. And also two guys to think about as well. Trevon West, when he's on the field, he makes plays. Okay,
They say he's the fastest player on the team.
Wow,
Trevon
West. That's
West,
what they said in space.
And then Brian Darby as well. Obviously, I'm forgetting about Stoops, but Brian Darby makes plays too. So,
I mean, we looked at last night. What about Jalil Farouk? He looked amazing.
Oh
last
my!
night.
He looked like a dude. He looked like a dude.
Yeah,
wearing that 14, he reminded me of a couple of runs we saw Rambo do a couple of run after catch to kind of just. I mean, he was pulling away from guys like it was.
He was bullying them too.
Yeah, he's tough.
I mean, yeah,
bully ball.
Man. Drive, you see another question you wanted to put up there? I know you had one before that one.
You can pick whatever you want.
Yeah, I see somebody. Topher just mentioned the tight end from Missouri, the transfer that you just got a week ago or so. Just that's kind of something I was wondering about. Is what's that room going to look like? You know, because I guess Braden Willis still.
Caden Helms. I think it's one of those situations where you're going to see Helms be more of like that Jermaine Gresham type, where it's just a matchup nightmare. He's more of a jumbo wide receiver than a traditional like blocking tight end, like we've like a bunch of them that we've seen recently. I think I think Willis has got to come back. I mean, he'd be the lone guy in the room with any OU experience,
right?
And you'd have Jason Llewellyn, Clark, and then Caden again being your matchup nightmare, kind of like your Kyle Pitts, Jermaine Gresham, whatever word you want to use for jumbo wide receiver that lines up as tight end. That will be interesting, but I know they're really high on Caden and Jason.
I got a question now. So, so what did you guys think about Brock Purdy last night? Because my uncle called me in. He was like, did you watch the game live? I said, well, I watched like the last bit of the game. I was like, who threw that interception and then back? I was like, he threw that interception, but then his old lineman backed the ball down, and he said, no, that was him. And then he was like, you did see the fumble, right? And I was like, yeah. I was like, when the fumble happened, I said, that's the most Brock Purdy-est thing that could happen at that time.
Yep.
I
tweeted out Brock Purdy ended his career just like Brock Purdy's career should have ended. I can't. I was watching. I watched it happen too in real time, and I was like, okay, you got the first down. You should slide because the clock stops in college football for a little bit. You get the first down, get back. You need to spot whatever. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like he goes up and then he goes down and around. Like I was like, what are you going to do? And then that he loses the fact that it was a good play by the guy. It's not like he just popped out of his hand. The guy punched it out. But I'm just like, dang, like you got it. If yours Iowa State teammates, I mean, they love him, obviously, I'm sure, but you just got to be. Some of them have to be thinking, dog. That's like
I was on the Riverwalk. I was on the Riverwalk. I was not watching the game. I was bouncing around before walking down to the stadium. So. Y'all, I heard about it, but
it was almost, it wasn't the same, but it was reminiscent of the Iowa State or the Oklahoma Iowa State game at the end of the second half, the Thick Six, where Key Lawrence busted it out. Like it was just so like, did that just happen? You know, like it can only happen to Brock Purdy because that stuff like that doesn't happen. Like what Key Lawrence did does not happen. What him getting a first down and then trying to go back and losing the ball so that the game's over and they got the first down, 4th and 2. That doesn't happen.
I just remember watching I was like, dang, they scored 14 points in 53 seconds. But Travis, you got to go back and watch the pick six when he threw it.
Well, trust me, I don't have any more OU football to watch, so I got to.
Bro, when he batted it down, I was just like, this happens to nobody else except for Brock Purdy. He always finds.
I think what's interesting is, I think Matt Campbell. I wonder if his agent is giving him an "I told you so," because if there's a guy whose stock at least didn't go up over time, it's been Matt Campbell's, right? Because after that year where they played well, finished with the top 10 ranking, Breece Hall was lighting the world on fire, Purdy looked good, Kolar looked good, like they made it to the Big 12 championship game, all that, like he was the hot commodity, right? We weren't hearing anything about any. We weren't hearing about Luke Fickell, we weren't hearing about Mel Tucker, we weren't hearing about any of these guys kind of rolling around, right? And now it's like, where does Matt Campbell go next year if they lose everybody, they're one of the oldest teams, right? And then now do people say, well, we're not sure how well you can recruit because you sure made a big stink about having 5-star culture and not 5-star talent, or 5-star culture beating 5-star talent. So like, we want you to recruit 5 stars, right? Like, has he kind of talked his way into always being like not a major blue blood type coach? And his stock went down so much, I was like, dog, I bet his agent's pissed. I bet his agent's like, hey, we had schools lining up last offseason for you, right? Well, this offseason, they all good.
Well, I mean, like the word was that he was kind of playing a plan B if the whole Lincoln thing didn't work out.
I ain't believing shit that comes out of that hellhole in Cali. I ain't believing shit.
But no, I mean, that's the way I felt. I said, talking to Seth, talking to my uncle, talking to a lot of people, I said, hey, if Matt Campbell doesn't leave Iowa State this year, then I'm scared that he may just Bill Self the hell out of himself. So I was like, he's gonna be there for life. He's not, because I was like, I don't know where else he would go. Because maybe he could go to, I don't know, man. If Minnesota ever opens up, he could go to a school like that. But as far as like, going somewhere big and bad, like a blue blood of a Power 5.
Like I said, I just think you have to, when you have leverage and when you have that special write your own check wherever you want, that is very fleeting.
Yeah.
When you have that opportunity, especially when people are giving out 10-year contracts.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen guys get hired and they're like, oh my God, why do we paid this guy how much for how long? And then he gets to sit back and light his cigars with $100 bills because he got fired after 3 years, but you still got to pay him. Like, there's no better job in America than a fired head coach. So that's the thing. I think he had that window. I think it's slammed shut whenever he just couldn't get it done. Would they lose 5 games this year?
Yeah.
I mean, geez. We had a down year and went 11-2. We had half a coach all year and went 11-2. I take that back. We went 10-2 with half a coach, but Bob was a whole coach. So we went 1-0 with a whole coach, 10-2 with half a coach. So however the math works on that.
All right, guys. Hey, one last question I'm going to put up here just to end it on a fun one. I saw this all week. Browns are in and out.
Oh.
Dude, I stopped by In-N-Out on the way down there. So I was like, you know what? All these different places. I was like, I'm going to go to In-N-Out. And I got a Brahms right around the corner from my house. Man, In-N-Out's, it's so overrated. Like, it's I got it and I'm like, you remember I messaged you. I messaged you when I was on the space and I was like, oh, I'm feeling kind of queasy, man. Like, I was like, if you got to take over as like really run this space after the day before the game, that's why. Is because I just eaten In-N-Out and I was like, I'm just not a fan. The fries, they're almost like stale. You get the little secret little cheese fries. They throw a little slap a easy melt or a craft single on there, melt that bad boy, and then all the ones under it, it's not good. I'm wildly disappointed. I even told Kobe when I got down there. He was like, "Yeah, In-N-Out is trash." He's like, Whataburger is so much better. He's like, I hang out at the Whataburger. Brent Venables. What's crazy was I was sitting next to Kobe. Brent Venables was texting him a picture of his new J's that he got, and he was like, "Man, I've never even seen these." He's like, "Man," I said, "That's what you get when you're, University of Oklahoma. You just get stuff that nobody's ever seen before." But yeah, stale fries at In-N-Out couldn't be. I mean, and I feel this is really in my lane. This is what I do. So. Whataburger and Brahms are both just head and shoulders above In-N-Out and their whole secret menu.
I mean, that's what I feel like the debate is Brahms and Whataburger. I feel like that's where the debate. Yeah. That's where the debate is. And I go back because like the only thing I'll give Whataburger, I'm an Oklahoma born and bred guy, so Brahms is my go-to there. But
Trap House.
But I mean, the onion rings. Whataburger. I mean, if I could get onion rings at Brahms, that probably seal the deal completely. But I mean, until that happens, Whataburger's got that over Brahms for me. But otherwise, everything else menu wise, Brahms.
Chris?
Oh, you gotta say Brahms, man. There's nothing like a number 2. That double cheeseburger is something different, and the fries are not stale. I had In-N-Out one time, and that was the only time that I ever needed it.
You were in and out.
Yeah, I was definitely in and out. It was. Yeah. I think the last time I went to an In-N-Out, I just took my girlfriend there, and she was like, "Hey, I need something to kind of like sober up." And I was like, "Oh yeah, this is great drunk people's food. You want something to help you? It's greasy. It's not good. It did not smell good at all. I was just like, The fries did look stale though. I didn't taste any, but I was like,
the fries are stale. They're stale. My wife's whole family is from California, and she's watching right now. So she's probably mad I'm even saying this, but I remember. She was like, "Babe, you gotta have In-N-Out. You gotta have In-N-Out." They all live on the Bay Area, so I remember back in like 2015, first time I went out there with her, we had In-N-Out, and the burger was good. Like the burger was good, but it was the fries. Like when you need to have a specific type of fry, like animal style, for your fries to be good, that's when you know. Like that means they dry and they stale. Like that's what it means. So I was like, first of all, like you can't call yourself a good burger place and have below average fries. I was born up here. I was born in Indianapolis, right? But my whole family lives in Oklahoma. Whole family's from Ardmore. My mom graduated from Oklahoma 87. My sister goes there. So every year we go back for Thanksgiving or Christmas, make the 14-hour drive from Indianapolis. And I would look forward like it was Christmas morning going to Brahms, right? Getting a bacon, 1/3 bacon cheeseburger with fries, a vanilla malt. Like that was my Christmas. And so like it's nostalgic for me too. But now that I've gotten older, it's still a fact that, it's just better. So Trav, what were you gonna say, bro?
So my thing is, okay, you go out to Cali, you know what you don't find in Cali? Big offensive linemen, big defensive line. You know what? You know why you don't find them out there? Because they're serving them sushi and tofu and seafood, and they've got every Asian cuisine you could ever hope for. LA has some of the best food in the world. Totally get it. What they don't have is the best beef, the best burgers, the best barbecue, the best anything like that. If you want to talk about burgers, barbecue, anything that's heavily beef related, or even getting over into the pork world, you have to stay in the Midwest, in the South, the Midwest and the South, to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because in California, who's going out and being like, oh man, who's got the best steaks? LA. Like, no, maybe they're flying them in from somewhere else, but Californians are not built to. They're not built to have. That's why they're all skinny, models.
Tofu
you look at the
burgers.
obesity statistics. I'll tell you what. You look at the obesity statistics per capita for the states, and if you are not in the top 10, the 5 most obese states, you don't know anything about burgers.
You don't know
nothing about burgers.
You don't know
Nothing about burgers specifically. You might know, the best cut of some nice salmon belly, where to get it. You might know, the best Asian fusion spot. You might know the best place to get your tofu, however you want it. But get out of here.
Why this is my wife. She hopped in. She hopped in on us. She's a big Shake Shack fan. Have y'all had Shake Shack?
Shake Shack.
No, but that's what John Hoover was saying, that Shake Shack is his go-to. He said Shake Shack is the best.
Shake Shack is very good. Like Shake Shack is basically Shake Shack is everything In-N-Out wants to be. That's what I'll say. Shake Shack is everything In-N-Out wants to be. So, hey, this has been so fun. We've appreciated having the fellas from the Horns Down podcast on, and kind of what I call a super collab. And we definitely got to do this again. Obviously, sometime soon, off season here, maybe even next season. It'd be fun to have you guys on again. And if you ever want us to come on the Horns Down podcast at all, just give us a ring. Man, we appreciate you guys coming out. If you guys enjoyed having Kchris and Seth with us, man, give this video a like, give it a thumbs up, comment in the chat how much you appreciated them. But no, guys, for real, thanks for spending time with us today.
Thanks a bunch. Yeah, definitely appreciate it. I always like
man, appreciate you guys coming through.
Yeah, it's been good. Like we've been, Kchris and I have been talking to a lot of Texas guys over the last month or so. But it's refreshing to be able to talk to some guys who actually know their stuff about OU football instead of
you doing the Lord's work. And I watched the one, I don't know if it was a week or two ago when you were on Fanatic Perspective, and I mean you and Kchris was giving them left, right, and I'm sitting here, I'm watching it, I'm like, the Texas people, they think that they're actually doing something. Like they actually tried to say that Brent Venables wasn't a good hire, and he's not a proven coach, so you can't say anything. I was just like, I'm like, God.
Well, that was I think I put that out. I was like, look, that's the funny thing. OU hires on fit. Lincoln was the fit after Bob. Bob was the fit. Switzer was the fit. I mean, no head coaching experience required for Brent Venables, Bob Stoops, Bud Wilkinson, Barry Switzer, all those guys. No head coaching experience. They all did fine. Texas hires solely on splash. Yeah. And we look at how our hires have fared over the last decade, even 20 years. How are they in any position to question what our coaching hires are like? And they're saying, oh, this guy, well, he's got no head coaching experience. Yeah, awesome. Because you know what? That works out really well for us. Yeah. You know what hasn't worked out really well for you? Splashy hires. So yeah, that's what bugs the hell out of me is like, you guys are, I mean, imagine I ran a defense that had really small corners and say 5'7", 5'6" corners, something just, ridiculous. Well, then there was, another team and they landed this 6'1", 200-pound badass corner. And I'd say, hey, look, he's not 5'6" or 5'7", so I don't know what you think you're doing. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
The whole point is to not have just a splashy hire. The whole point is to hire a cultural fit. That is the entire point. But the problem is Texas doesn't know what the hell their culture is, so they just spin a big wheel and say, I hope this guy fits the culture.
That's their
because
culture.
we have no idea what it is. Yeah, the culture. I mean, that's what cracks me up is like, how do you guys think you have any credibility to speak on what a good coaching hire looks like, especially against Oklahoma? The guy that we don't like anymore still coach circles around Texas.
I was sitting there watching it. I was in pain for Kchris and Seth. Like I was like, how are these because me, like Trav has to tell me that I need to chill on the Texas trolls on Twitter because I be going at him all the time. Some of these little accounts and stuff like that.
Dude, he put so many of them on my timeline. Then they start making screenshot collages about me about how I blocked him, and I'm so soft. I'm sorry, random Texas troll account that I don't want to sit back and argue with you all day when I got shit to do.
That's it. Trav ain't got time for you, but I do. So that's what. But no, it was so painful just to watch that. So thank y'all for what you do.
Oh, that's what we do. Horns down every day. Look, I cannot wait until next season because I'm going to do some heavy documentation. I'm going to document all of the adventures of Captain Sark and Mullet Boy. I cannot wait for that to begin. I'm trying to get that started out there. I want that to become a hashtag. I'm not calling Quinn Ewers. I'm calling him Mullet Boy until he does something to prove to me that I should call him by his government.
I don't think he'll beat out Hudson or Malik. I don't think he'll beat out Hudson.
Man.
Well, I mean, apparently, I got an Ohio State buddy that's connected to Heartline, I think, and he's like, look, he's lazy, he's soft, that's why he couldn't cut it. I mean, that's why he couldn't win the job. If you're the greatest high school recruit ever, up there with even ranked above Justin Fields and tied with Lawrence as a 1.000 ranked recruit, and you're running from competition.
Yeah, that's
after all the crap you talked about Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs. I can't believe that should be on billboards in Austin about how much crap he talked about Texas. Oh, they're not. They haven't been able to compete for championships, and that's why I wasn't really interested in sticking. He basically said why he didn't want to go to Texas because they kept losing, and then they go 5-7, which is worse than they were after he said they weren't winning, and now he's like. Oh, that Texas? Oh no, man. Yeah, I'm on my way.
They gave me $6 million.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a red flag. It looks like he's looks like from our this perspective that he just wants it handed to him. And I mean that speaks to if there is truth to that lazy reputation, that fits right in.
Well, Tate Martell in the house. Tate Martell point 2.
Oh God.
Wow. That's what Travis called him. But hey guys, for real, I'm gonna let y'all go. Y'all go have good nights. Happy New Year to everybody. Thanks for everybody that's in here in the chat. We'll see y'all next week. And Kchris and Seth will definitely have you guys back on here soon, man.
All right, see you guys.
All right,
see you guys. Thanks for coming around.
Hey.